agenda. So I will start to tell you something about Polarian software in general, so who we are, what we do. And then we directly go over to Maria, and yeah, then you will hear something about processes, about why automotive recalls happen, comparison between waterfall and agile process development, the main topic development in a rush, what about that? And at the end you will get a demo of a template with zero documentation, which shall help you developing your tools together with Polarian before we come at the end to the Q&A session. You've seen there's a polling window opened at the end, so we would really be happy if you would take a minute or so to have a look into these questions and give us a little feedback that we know a little bit more about our audience today. Thank you in advance for that. So Polarian, flexible solution solves and evolves. So what is it what we can give you? We can give you Polarian ALM. ALM stands for Application Lifecycle Management, and this Application Lifecycle Management consists typically of any part required for developing a product. Typically starts with requirements management. You need to make sure that the quality of the requirements is fine, is okay for the rest of the development, and then all the requirements are tested at the end. We have included a component of issue and defect management, change and configuration management here. We have a part in Polarian which is responsible for creating audits and metrics or reports. Also there's a resource management component included, build release management, and some kind of variant management which can help you to organize your products also for different customers. There are also other parts available. The whole solution is Polarian ALM, but there are also subparts, requirements management and quality assurance. What you see today will reference also application lifecycle management, the ALM part, so the whole solution. Yeah, we have some customers. So what you can see here is not close to all of the customers. Just some examples. What you may see here is that we have many customers in the regulated industry. So, for example, in automotive industry or aerospace industry, or also medical, like here with Roche, for example, or Phonak, or Zirona. So all these areas which are really need to fulfill standards, really need to follow processes in a strict order, they really like Polarian because it's so flexible for all these processes and we can really help in these areas. The architecture of Polarian is what you can see here. First of all, it's a web-based solution accessible with any halfway current browser, so Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, everything works fine. The developers can stay in their own environment in Eclipse or Visual Studio, for example, and can directly work on their tasks from their development environment. We are also very close to Microsoft Office products, so we have a really designed interface which is really close to Microsoft Office. So if you're used to working on specification in Word, you will also have no problems with working on specifications in Polarian, and you can also exchange them with Office, so import, export, round trip, and so on is available. Polarian itself is very extendable, so you will find on our webpage, polarian.com, the so-called extension portal, and there you can find different project templates like the one you will see later in this webinar, or other new tool features which were either developed by ourselves or by some customers of us, and they're pretty helpful in many situations. As you can see, we are very open also for other solutions. Maybe you have some other tools in place which need to be connected to Polarian, completely possible. And with these technologies here, with our API, with our web services, you can connect to all of the different functional blocks. Polarian itself as a company has been founded in 2004. The first product has been released in the year 2005, and the special thing here is really that Polarian has been invented from the very beginning as an ALM solution. Not just a requirements management tool or a test management tool, really at the very beginning the focus of ALM was defined for the tool. This was very good for us because we could implement it in a really nice way. focus for us in the last 10 years of development, Polarian is a real-time collaboration, so a web-based solution where everyone can work together on one environment. We have an intuitive UI, and what's also very important, of course, is the full traceability between all the artifacts. So from requirements to test cases to defects to change requests to user stories and so on and so on. Everything is guaranteed in Polarian. So we have right now more than 2.5 million users, where I have to say that about 20% of these users are coming from Polarian ALM, from the sold solution, and 80% of these users are coming from our contributions to the open source community. There are more than 200 existing extensions on our extension portal available. So if you're interested or if you're already a customer of us, just have a look into the extension portal from time to time. It's really updated every couple of days. And at the moment, we have around 15,000 registered community members, which we are really proud on. Okay, shall be enough from this part. Some words here. We are globally active. Our headquarters in Stuttgart, Germany. Our development and support is sitting in Prague in the Czech Republic. My colleague Nancy, which you just heard at the very beginning, is in the United States with our office there. Other regions are handled with with the help of some partners of us. So you can see here we have reseller partners in different areas of the world. So if you have questions about Polarian, if you want a demo, so you can just contact us from everywhere. And we have also, on the other hand, some technology partners, like you can see here with Vector Software, Spark System, ArgoSense, MassWorks, and so on. And of course, very important for today's, where is it? For today's webinar, also quantum technologies from Maria, from our speaker for today, which or to who I will give the presenter rights right now, or Nancy will give the presenter rights right now.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining this webinar. I am pleased to be here with you guys because I do understand the challenges that are going on in the automotive industry. So I'm going to start with who I am. Say how this is different than everything that I've seen before. Okay. Well, I have 15 years of experience in engineering. I was 11 years in the software as a software team leader, software architect, and developer in Delphi Automotive System. I was working for different product lines that comprehend BMW, GM, Toyota, Chrysler, and Ford. And here we had a lot of challenging experience on the process implementation because of the fast pace that needs to be done stuff. And my team was able to achieve the first flawless launch in 30 years of the product line of clusters. So that was a huge achievement, and that was because optimization on the software process. At that time, we didn't have Polarian, so probably would be even better. Okay, so currently I'm working with two companies. One is Quantum Technologies, is for green technologies, pretty much for CNG, natural gas conversions, and we do like the initial development for prototype proof of concept for hybrids, electrical vehicles, and natural gas. And then after that, the OEMs pretty much take the design and then they continue the development. And also I'm working with systems compliance engineering. This is a new company that was created with the concept that there are a lot of processes on the world that automotive needs to be in compliance, and everything is moving so fast that there is no way that everything can be documented and put together, all the puzzles, all the pieces together. So, and here what we do is we work with the National Highway Safety, which is pretty much where the recalls happened. That will be this one, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. This is pretty much for the recalls and defects of the vehicles. And then for ISO 262, which probably you are familiar with the safety, 16949, which is the whole product development process, software, automotive spice, CMM, AutoSAR to build architecture, and everything needs to be agile. And the federal requirements, which these ones are like the 126, like electronic stability control. We have to have windshield defrosting and the fog systems to avoid crash, recirculation of air to avoid intoxication of carbon dioxide when all the windows are closed, cold temperature requested at startup in hot environments because you might have a heart attack, seat belts for babies, design reviews, material, and etc. So it's a lot of information that needs to be processed. So the reason why I like Polarian is because you can combine all of those. Still, you need the acknowledge to put all these pieces together, but with Polarian, you can make it happen. Okay, so this is pretty much what usually happens when everything is running, everything is rushing, and we need to finish like right now. We start, oh, okay, what do we need to do? Let's think about this. Oh, okay, I'll do the code. And then, oh, something happens. Oh, I swear that this was done. Oh, God, it wasn't there and all the stuff, right? So probably everybody has gone through the same path sometime in this life. But why recalls happen? The truth is that the process itself won't fix the issues, okay? A check mark on a quality process or document does not guarantee the quality of a product. That's a fact, and that's the reason why we have a lot of recalls. It's skyrocketing like crazy in the last years, and that's because everything is going so fast. Before it took like 5 years the development of a vehicle, just the design itself, and now it's taking months. So everything needs to be like really quick. And because of that, then there is no attention to details. But okay, where are those areas? Well, one is management, another one is engineering process and design architecture. In management, we do have issues like, no, we need to finish right now and skip this and let's do it this and just send it out, or we have to have these design reviews and it's taking a lot of time from the development time and all the stuff. So sometimes we get in frustration that we cannot finish the stuff that we would like to, because either documentation is taking a lot of time, or because management is putting a lot of pressure, or because just is too much to deal with the time frame that the customer is asking for. So that is pretty much what management happens. An engineering process on another side is that we do have processes implemented, and probably everybody understands that a design, a requirements design, implementation, and testing needs to happen. But sometimes we don't go deep enough on these areas of the process. So we tend, as an engineers, we like to fix the world. But sometimes, as a human, we tend to skip stuff because we believe that it was already done. Or we have heard sometimes that we are in a peer review, and the owner of the change is trying to convince the peer reviewers that his change is accurate, when it's supposed to be the opposite. It's gotta be open, so it gotta receive the feedback from people, and then it spends a lot of meetings and all the stuff. So making stuff instead of documentation or instead of a long meetings is better if you have data. Data is always going to tell you better where the process is failing. And then we have the third area where the recall happens. the design architecture. How many times we have heard that when we do the first integration in the vehicle, that the systems didn't communicate properly, that there was a message missed, or that the data that was expected from another component didn't receive the correct implementation or the correct data transmitted over the bus, or just the wire was not okay. So pretty much there is a lot of manual handling and patching and trying to figure out, because it needs to be presented either in auto show or to media or who knows, just to test it like the first ride. So because of that, then then it means that the harness or these interfaces didn't work out. So there was not a preliminary design of that, or it was poor, or it was too big that nobody read it. But that is in the vehicle level. Also, inside of every single component, electrical component, inside electrical, like right now I believe that we are around 200 electronic components, ECUs in the vehicle. I think that's if I recall correctly. Imagine 200 mini computers connected all together, talking. Of course, they don't talk all together at the same time, but it gotta be interfaces. It gotta be a lot of stuff, right? But it is not only that. Inside of each of those, it has to be a design architecture for features. So it's the code and the hardware and the mechanical stuff can be reused, and you can um, speed up the development for another project because you can pick up stuff. So that's why AutoSAR was created for um, code that you can reuse. But in the perfect world, of course, that works. But in the real world, it doesn't, because hardware is always changing, the design is always changing, and there is always something better to do in software. So it cannot be like a plug and play either, but still you have to have design architecture. So it makes a little bit easier the stuff. And that's very much why the recalls happen, because those three areas are not well taken care anywhere. We try to use a document, which is like a big database or a big Excel file or whatever. It's really hard to understand a lesson learned from a project that was developed 2 years ago with different hardware than the hardware that is right now. So that's why the combination of three is the details where these recalls happen. And of course, because of the rush, right? You don't have time to review an Excel file with 2,000 items when you need to deliver in 2 weeks. Okay. So let's jump to the next. Um, there was this guy, Winston Royce, that says, hey, everybody's swearing how that everything is going on and it needs to be done correctly. So he come up with the idea of the waterfall process, where you have your system requirements, your software requirements, analysis, design, coding, testing, and then finally transfer to operations. So everybody thought that it was great. And it was, oh, okay, yeah, it's amazing. Let's just call it the waterfall, is the law, and that let's adopt that worldwide, and everybody's going to be working with that. Perfect, yeah. Yeah, it's not that good. Why? Okay, I'll show you. Everybody come up, oh, okay, we need to work on the traditional B, which is pretty much the same than the waterfall. The traditional B is just this. So it's the waterfall at the end of the day, because you have requirements, design, implementation, test, and operations, right? Processes that we have on place right now everywhere in every process standard. With my ISO 262 and among others, everybody's following the traditional B, because it's expected that you will have requirements before to start, right? It makes sense. You cannot do something that you don't understand. And of course, you cannot test anything if it's not implemented, right? But that is the perfect world. what really happens is we have to have multiple interactions of a document before we move to the next phase. So here is the constraint that is happening in nowadays. We are spending a lot of time in this area trying to figure out the requirements, doing a lot of approvals, and then doing a templates in Word, templates in Excel, and then adding ID traceability metrics and all that kind of information, DFMAs, IFMAs, and safety hazard analysis and all that, that is driving a lot of interactions by itself. So by the time that is really the implementation needs to happen, we already spent all this amount of time. But guess what? The delivery is probably this deadline. And since it is a hard date most of the time because the product or the ECU needs to be done because at that time it's expected that other ECUs in the vehicle will be ready for the integration. So it's expected that everybody is going to be integrated. So the deadline, the milestone does not change. So of course things start skipping and the stuff and everybody is frustrated and blah blah blah. So I'll show you a short animation of what really is happening and why it's frustrating, right? I'll call it the devil is on the way. Why? Well, we get the requirements. Everybody understand the purpose. Ah, okay, perfect. Yeah, I understand what you need, supplier, or what you need, customer. Okay, and then systems engineering or the software engineer develop the software requirements. Okay, here are the details. This is what needs to be done because we need these inputs, we need these outputs. This is the range that I'm expecting, blah, blah, blah. And then it becomes analysis. Oh, but this input is going to be with this, and then this range is going to affect this other thing, and then this other thing is going to have an impact on the output of this, and blah, blah, blah. So the analysis becomes like that. And then the analysis is done. Okay, I think that we covered everything. But then the design needs to be done. Okay, we gotta create like standards for the naming convention, and then it's gonna be spread out all over the place. So we have to create the algorithms, or use MathWorks, or use anything else to use like a graphical interpretation of the design, so we can put on paper what the analysis and the requirements were. Okay, so a lot of documentation, and then the developer is like, what the heck? What the heck happened here? How how I'm gonna understand and read thousands or hundreds? It's like exaggerated. How I'm gonna read hundreds to make it happen? Okay. Regardless, oh my God. I, and then I have to go line by line. It's gonna be so painful. And then of course operations cries, because there is a lot of documentation that was on the design. It was not clear because the guys from coding and testing or design skipped stuff, and operations is like, this thing is not working, right? I mean, I'm not saying that it happens all the time, but that's the reason pretty much what we cry. But then it doesn't end there. We have this little guy that is like a shadow behind us. This guy usually is quality. Yep, yep. It's not only the software requirement analysis and design, coding, testing, operation. We have to do compliance, right? We have to have information. So the checklists were created for that. You do your design. Is your design complete enough? Is a big granularity in there? Blah, blah, blah. So, yep, more documentation. But time is clicking. Time is going on. So we have this other guy on the picture that is pretty much the project manager. And then he say, oh crap, it's gonna take so long. What about if we just do this because we have to send it. Otherwise, we are not going to make it on time. So ship it, ship it. I want to ship it because I want the revenue, right? Okay, so what are the consequences of all that? The development of in a rush, it pretty much comes with the question, do you want the product working or the process? Customer management, or who knows, the guy in the auto show is asking for that. Always happen. And I won't believe that anybody has ever heard that before. And then there is another one. This, okay, the product has been accepted. Where is the documentation? And we are like, what? I have to do reverse engineering to generate the documentation. Something that I did like long time ago. And then we have team, the customer found a big issue or a recall, and we have to find it right now. Why? Because it's calling to all the vehicles in the shipped already. Those are hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, and it needs to be fixed out right now. So where do I start? I don't remember what I did some months ago or maybe years. So again, it's painful to find the correct information in order to figure out where the issue could be. Of course, we get ideas of how the system was working at that time with the feedback that we get from customers, but it doesn't mean that that is the real issue. Sometimes it's just a side impact. The symptom is just a side impact. Okay, and then we have why we have to use thousands of tools. This is from the engineering side. It's like I want something simple so I can concentrate in the product functionality and still be able to document what I did so I can fix if something comes up later on, right? So having like multiple interfaces, like having tools that needs to talk to another tool, and then I have to have this open window, and then I have to put an ID of this tool to this other tool, an ID, so I can do cross-reference. And then if it doesn't happen, then I have to have a document, external document, just to do the mapping and all that. And it's just a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. Okay, what do I do? Well, besides the tool, which Polarian helps a lot, is you can do a lot of automate the process. But besides that, you have to have a software architecture that is fundamental. The technical knowledge is needed to establish a proper analysis, design, and implementation process, because the tool itself is not going to solve your issues. It's going to speed up a lot. You have no idea how much it's going to help you. But if it's not implemented properly for the needs of your company, then everybody's going to hate it. So the architecture is fundamental. Also, something that needs to be clear for everybody is that a process can be tailored to adjust the project. You won't find in any process any standard that is asking for formats in Word or Excel or project, Microsoft project. There is no way any process is asking you for that. All what they care is that you have evidence. Is pretty much like this we use in the systems compliance engineering company. We use this philosophy that is say what you're gonna do what you said, and prove it. So you have to have evidence of the stuff that is there. Is not nobody's gonna believe you just because you're pretty, right? So, but it doesn't mean that you have to have tons of documentation or templates in Word. Those were created in first place because there were no tools. We had to have a Word document template so it can be easier to read because there was no, so if I if I send a Word document right now with a template and then send it over to another state or to another country, they are going to be familiar with the structure, so it can be easy to be read, but still it's a Word document. So, and it doesn't have to be like that. Having a tool like Polarian, you can pretty much help with all that. Okay. And then we have the project timing that can be achievable. Okay, do not allow micromanagement. Of course, there are key deliverers to align with other teams of the product itself or with the vehicle integration because it needs to happen, right? But if you put micromanagement, like details, show me when you're going to start and finish your coding, show me when you're going to start your task and the testing, and then that becomes measuring people, and that doesn't work. The estimates and the time spent shall be for the product itself, to know how long the product is going to be done, instead of criticizing people. Ah, you didn't do this, or you say that you will be finished by this day and you didn't. One thing is that you have the commitment as an engineer that you're going to finish the work, and another thing is telling you, yeah, today I went to the restroom, right? No, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work. So Polarian helps a lot with that because you deal with data. How do I work faster and better to avoid the calls? Well, use the tools to automate the documentation, like Polarian. And you will see that right now, right after this. I think this is the last slide. You will see the template. So you will see how and why. And then also quality assurance should be focused in the content of documentation, not in checklists to verify the document exists. This is extremely important because as an engineer, you think that it's your baby, right? You think that it's perfect. You think that everything is going to work or whatever because you did it. But you need a third party or something else outside to verify what you did. But verifying your document is not going to find issues. It's going to just verify that you documented, but the content doesn't mean that is bulletproof, that the product is okay. So that's why quality should be focusing content. And then also the timing should be based on technical knowledge to provide better estimates. You cannot have something that is going to be used by manufacturing when you are in the first phase. Barely the harness are being built right now. So it gotta be some certain of leverage over there to understand this and what your product is required for each phase so you can properly set up the process because it might change. As I said, the process can be tailored, so something that you have for the concept phase might be different for the PPAP submission. So, okay, so we will jump to the demonstration of the automotive template. And let me just open the, because I have that here already. Okay, so this is the template. So it's like, okay, how can I make it, and this is pretty much the template that you're gonna get. So this is like, okay, I need some way to communicate the engineer that these are his own tasks. So he doesn't have to bother or attend to boring meetings with the details of somebody else's work. Still, you need a meeting just to understand what other people is doing, but you don't have to go in detail, extremely detail. And sometimes the meetings take like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So this is a very effective way to communicate to, like, this is my homepage. So I have like this, my homepage, and then I have the global homepage. In the global homepage, I can have all my tasks and defects and everything that is assigned to me for any project. And then in the homepage, I have the content for that specific project only. So I can be focused, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. This is what is pending for me, and that's it. This is where I'm going to contribute. Okay? So, and then before we jump to this, I'm going to show you the magic of this. This is a change request. Everybody has to deal with change request. Either it's called engineering request or CDR or I believe it's customer design review. everything. So it gotta be somebody, project management or the customer asking for something, right? So you have to start with this is the top of the iceberg. Then in this case, it's saying, okay, I'm project management and asking you to do the DFMA. So I say, okay, I'll do that. And then I have the sensors. Okay, I'll do the sensor A, and then I'll do my analysis. I have, oh, okay, I have short to ground, short to battery, will be stuck to a value when the sensor is no longer responsive. That is my effect. The causes, the harness was dead, the sensor is broken or burned. What is my action? But here is the beauty. Let me check. Go back to here. And then this is another one. You say, oh, okay, yep. And then somebody, when the review happens, or you request somebody to review it, somebody can respond. If this sensor fails, it's going to cause a safety issue because there will be an intentional shutdown of the vehicle while driving, for example, right? So in here, you say, okay, this is going to drive a safety. So I'm going to create my safety hazard or safety goal to cover my ISO 262. Okay, so this is my safety. This is my failure. I do the analysis for ASIL D because it's going to have fatal injuries if I'm driving in the highway and suddenly stuff. Of course, I'm going to crash, right? And it will drive somebody to get really hurt. And then here, okay, so it's going to be causing and then impacts on these features, the operation mode, the severity, causes, exposure, controls, rationale for controls, and so on. Instead, what usually the ISO 262 asks you to do is from here, you write down the requirements right here. But it's not very usable because that means that you have to search in every single hazard to see what the requirements were. So instead of doing that with Polarian, you can just create a safety requirement. Click here, boom, you're done. And then you just write, okay, for this, we're going to cover it with this, with that, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to just click cancel because I have some already here. So I have my requirement, is safety. It's already saying it's a must-have, it's a hardware, it's for sensors. So in hardware, I need to do threshold to validate the hardware itself. Keep in mind that this requirement, for example, means inputs from the hardware. It doesn't mean hardware itself. If it were hardware itself, it would be another requirement saying something different. But it falls in this requirement type where you can check if it's performance, safety, hardware, or interface. Is falling in this category because it means to verify that your input in hardware is accurate. That's where the technical knowledge falls in to implement a process correctly. So in the description, you say, okay, I need these thresholds and I need these ATD counts because the variation is going to be 10 for short to low and short to high. And then I need also hysteresis control to avoid noise and stuff like that. And probably I will have to add a voltage drop compensation because it's not the same voltage of the sensor of what is read at the harness than what is in the microprocessor itself reading. That small voltage drop also needs to be taken care of, right? So all that is like details. And then, okay, I need to do that. That's my requirement. I'll create my coding task, which is this one, right? And then I do the implementation. I do the commit and all that. And then you say, okay, this means that I will have to have thresholds or calibrations for those ATD counts. So it's not fixed because the sensor probably is going to change or the location of the sensor is going to be different. So the input is going to change probably. Or the sensor itself, there is a cost reduction and I need to adjust the limits because it's going to change. So I need a calibration as well. So I just click here and create a calibration. So in this case, it will be this one, right? So I have my calibration and I'll set this is my calibration name and these are my current thresholds. So done. And then you say, yep, I have my requirement, I have my coding task, and I have to have, of course, my test case. So just click on it. We are actually going to create it. And it's a little bit longer. Okay, I'll take it out because it's taking forever. Okay, so just assume that is the requirement is there, right? The testing. So as you can see, we kind of have the B process. You have your requirement, implementation, and the testing will be right here. And also you have traceability to safety. Safety is asking you, okay, identify the hazard, and then you create the requirement for it, cover it, and test it. That's pretty much in simple words. So we are covering all that with Polarian, simple traceability, visual. So you can, okay, why this sensor hazard is coming from? What tools or parameters did you use to make sure that it was a safety issue? Oh, it's because it's part of my DFMA. When I was doing the DFMA and the analysis with everybody, it was found. So that is going to reduce a lot on your analysis because you can use the DFMA as a tool to generate your safety. Instead of having two different teams, one doing the DFMA and another one doing the hazard analysis, you can combine them and then create right away the issues that are safety. And so that is a lot of meanings that are less, a lot of documentation that is reduced and all the stuff. So that is for like the safety. But what about if project management just asks me for something that has nothing to do with DFMA or has nothing to do with safety? It's just a feature, simple feature request. Well, I do have that too. So let's say that this is a request. The customer is saying, yep, I need this because I need to get this information back. So when this happened, this is what I want. So this is a request. It's like when I showed the animation, the first block, it was the system requirements, high level, purpose. So this contains that. This is what the customer is asking for, or your supplier needs. It's not detailed yet. It's just like the idea. So you create your requirement, and then in here you can put more information. Yeah, the sensor shall have the threshold to 4K PCA to perform shoot down or something like that. Okay, just to put an example. And then you pick the category. You say, okay, this is going to be for diagnostics because after the shoot down, I'll set a diagnostic to notify end user that something is wrong. But then you'll say, hey, come on, that is architecture. If I'm going to send information to the end user, I'm not responsible to displaying that. I'm just another ECU that is going to be reading the sensor. I don't have access to the user interface. Okay. So then it's not only diagnostics, it's also vehicle communications or interface. I'll leave just this vehicle communications. Okay. What I like about this, and let's say that is approved, I have my initial estimate. Schedule for this sprint. See, it's kicking my ass. Sorry. Okay, this is performance. Save. Okay, so then I have the code. I'll do that. And then I have the testing, and then I have my steps and all that. Something important that sometimes people ask me is say, yeah, this is perfect for project management. Make sure that the code covered that information as well. Well, with this coding task, it has this plugin that is also from Polarian, provided by Polarian. Pretty much when you do a commit through Subversion or through Git, what it does is going to create a revision number. That revision number is going to contain the list of files that were modified with that specific revision. So what this coding task does, right now I cannot display them because it's the plugin is not uploaded into the server. But what it's going to do is that it's going to show in here the list of the files that were modified with that specific commit or revision. So you have full traceability from requirement, coding, files modified, and your testing. So here is the little b, right? And then another important thing is like, what about if I need to do a peer review? Well, you can use comments. You can just assign this to somebody and then say, you know what, I need a peer review. So you create a comment that says peer review this code. And then everybody that is assigned to this is going to get the comment by email saying, hey, dude, you need to review this because you have been assigned as a peer reviewer. So instead of having a huge meeting discussing and trying to convince that your code is perfect, it's better to, oh, okay, I got an email. Make it impersonal so there is no discussion and arguments. Well, arguments, yes, but not argue. So, oh, okay, I got this. I want to check it out. Okay, yep. Then let's say that I'm the other user, and then I'm going to reply. Say, the code is missing one threshold for hysteresis. And you're done. That is your peer review. So when this comment happens, the owner also is going to get the email saying, somebody did a comment. Oh, okay, I need to add this hysteresis control. So I'll do the change, modifications, and then do the commit again. And still the files are going to reflect if even I modify something else in a file. So that's why it's very good. I like it. Okay, so that is like the small b, the testing, and then now that I have put this like a small example, it's pretty much on the left. You have kind of these shortcuts, and it shows like the B also. So it shows the FMA ISO. So you can see here, tools for safety, requirements, implementation, testing, release. So this is your B, right? So you are still in compliance with what most of the processes that are out there. You are in compliance. But now, since everything can be partitioned in small pieces and faster because you can just right click and create the stuff, it's a lot easier. But it's gonna save you like a lot of time. So then in here, then your next question will be, okay, what about if I need to display everything that is for the current development? Well, you go to requirements. What it does, remember the category? Okay, so it's gonna pull everything that is related to that category. So sensors, and then it's gonna pull this nice wiki rendering, and then say, yep, I have this FMA, I have this safety goal, I have this safety requirement, and I have these hardware requirements, and this is my traceability. So I have from the request, my requirement, and my testing. Boom, you're done. Your document has been automatically created. You don't have to create Word documents because from here you just do an export PDF, and that will be your document that you can share with your customer or supplier. And you have everything in place. So no documentation burden at all. So here is pretty much to just create the small pieces and everything is going to be pulled automatically on this template. And it could be for anything. And then somebody will say, oh, yeah, that looks nice, but I want to know what is for the current sprint or the current release that I'm working with. Okay, no problem. Do another wiki. And then from here, okay, For all this sprint, this is all what I'm implementing. It's different categories. Yeah, I have for diagnostics, I have for sensors, for vehicle communications, and this is my traceability. So you can also deliver that as a PDF. It's your document output. That's why it's like I've been talking a lot about how to avoid all that, because if you use this tool and you use this philosophy, then you can concentrate in the true functionality of the product, reduce your documentation, and catch issues before they happen, because you will be focused on the functionality itself. So you don't have to create tons of documents just to prove that what you did, because it's already here. It's data, right? So that's very much for the template, and then you will be able to play with it a lot. Everybody's gonna get it. And then in here it's really easy to create a wiki. Just click on here, and then I want another wiki, but now it's gonna be Sprint 2. Then I want it in requirements. I want my template. It has not been uploaded. Well, I need to check that. But it's pretty much is gonna pull the template, and as soon as you click hit, it's gonna create automatically the template. That's cool too. And then on the release, this is the last part that I'm gonna explain before to go to questions. In here, oh, sorry. In here we have the official release, which is pretty much what you're gonna deliver to the customer. It's like, okay, I want to know what you're delivering. I want to know the content. So yep, you have your traceability information, the content, your hex files, your RAM usage, ROM calibrations, your part numbers, and then you have the features that were requested, the requirements affected, the bug fixes, the calibration tasks, anything that is assigned to somebody else outside of your company, the test results, the quality results. This is not the check mark, but it was like, yep, I see that everything is in place. I do agree with it. The approvals, which is electronic. So I just click on it and then use the feature. I do approve this release. Just go here, approval, and then I do approve. Oh, or I can disapprove if I want. So as you saw, it's asking me, okay, I need your user ID because that means it's electronic signature. So by putting this, it means that I do accept that, like my signature and all that, right? So that's cool. And then that's it. The rest you will be able to play with it. It has the FMA query, so it's pretty much the same items that we discussed, but in the nice format that is people is used to. And you can export that and create Excel file if you want to as well, but it's already in your data. Same for ISO 262. You have the nice displaying as is expected by an auditor. You have the requirements. Implementation is just the supporting tasks that are currently scheduled and what is your repository, so you can go directly to your web to your source code. Testing, you can use the test results and the sprints and everything, and you can create release templates, regression test, or anything that you like. This is pretty much the standard feature from Polarian. I didn't modify anything wrong here. The release is a brand new thing that I put in. And planning is also, I did modify this, so it's easier to follow the information that is in here. It needs the plugin, so that's why it's not showing stuff, but it's going to show you nicely, like chart here, and then in here every assignment for every person, and you can filter per sprint, so that's nice too. You have meetings, and then this meeting is like, okay, I had this meeting, and this is what was discussed. So you can have your multiple meetings as well here. Something cool about this also is that you can just, from meeting with external customer or whatever, you can just create your change requests, which is going to drive your development anyways. And then we have the quality audit. This is also a very cool feature because remember, instead of having people to do manually check process violations and documentation content and all that, well, it can be done automatically here. You just do that, and then you will find B process evaluations like this one was closed, and there are no test cases. So it's going to show up. And then this one means that there are coding tasks that there is no traceability directly to the source code that was committed to the repository. So that was checked in. So this is done automatically. You don't need somebody to do this manually. So it's better that person that is doing quality. Okay, so you say that you're going to do this. Okay, let me see what you did. Content, check content. And that's all what I have. So I believe that we are going to jump to questions.
Great. Thanks very much, Maria. That's fantastic. I have a few questions. They're all asking with regards to how you're going to get the template. So I'll certainly address that right up front. It's going to be emailed to all the attendees, so you will receive that within the next 24 hours. Along with that, you'll receive today's audio recording as well. I don't see any other questions in the Q&A right now pertaining to something that Stefan or Maria would speak with. So if there is a question that someone has, please feel free to put it into the Q&A now, and we'll address it. I'll just remind people that at the end of the recording, you will receive a survey as well. So that, and if you're looking for any next steps or further demonstrations or one-on-one with any of our SEs, you can indicate that request, and we'll follow up with you immediately. Stefan, you were going to say something, sorry?
Yeah, I have another question here. So are there any preconditions for the template to work?
We're cutting out.
Oh, sorry. Are there any preconditions for the template to work, like any special Polarian version or some extensions which are required?
Yes, there is a list of extensions. I'll provide that to Polarian so it can be put it out. But there are like only 3, which is the user list, the attachments, drag and drop, and the assignments per users. I believe those are 3. Anyways, I'm going to provide that information, and you will get that by email too, so you can download them.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good. Yeah, that's also everything from my side. No questions in the chat.
Thanks. Well, this time I'll certainly wrap up the presentation and thank all of you for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedules, and certainly a great thank you to Maria and Stefan. Please check us out on our blog at Polarian.com, and we hope to have you attend one of our webinars again soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.